Brilliant.
Okay, Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're in Patriarch of YHWH. We're starting at portion 3, which is chapter 19, and it goes up to chapter 22-24. And we don't know whether in this one sitting that we'll get to all those. Okay?
But we're going to enjoy it.
Yes.
We're going to enjoy it and find out what the Ruach HaKodesh ministers to our souls, to our spirits, and to each other. And I hope you enjoy with us the discourse and debate. If you want to make any comments, it'd be good to hear from you. Much love, Paul and Steph.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Genesis 19, verse 1. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even. And Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face towards the ground. He said, Behold now, my Adons, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house. Tarry all night, wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into the house. And he made them a feast, and did bake them unleavened bread, and they did eat.
Okay. Couple of things to notice. They came, the 2 angels, but the 3 left Avraham, but only 2 came to Sodom and Gomorrah. And the sages say that the one that left was the one that healed Avraham. You know, angels come for a specific task, and one of them was to come to heal, bring healing for Avraham, and once he'd healed him, then he left. So three angels left, and then Avraham was left with the Lord, but only 2 angels came to Sodom and Gomorrah. So one of them, I think, was the angel Gabriel. It's understood to be Gabriel, the angel of the judgment of Yahweh.
Verse 4. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came in unto thee this night? Bring them out unto them, that we may know them.
Okay, that's a euphemism. To know them means sexual intercourse. Listen to something about this actually. They wanted to have sexual intercourse with angels.
Yeah.
This is a little bit like the Watchers coming on down on Mount Hermon, and the sons of God mating with the daughters of man.
Yeah.
In reverse,
Absolutely.
these wanted homosexual relationships, men of Sodom, the young and the old, the Zaken, the mature and the immature, and you know, this they wanted to have even debased, abominable sexual intercourse with angels.
I'm sure that'd be an affront to an angel that's not fallen, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, there's something connected with this whole in you know, there's something connected with Genesis 6:1-4 here.
Well, yeah, not
There is something connected to that, but in reverse almost, isn't it? Even the angels, it was natural. It was a natural union between, as far as we know, sons of God. So between male and female.
Why had the angels gone there?
To destroy it.
They've gone to destroy it.
Yeah.
And this is a show of the wickedness which is there that needs to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's not now fallen angels wanting to have sexual relationships with human females, but now it's
fallen men.
So where has the mind gone? Where has their minds gone so far away from their creator and the flood not too long before this event. Why are they seeking what Yahuwah destroyed with the flood?
Also, this has got to we've got to continually reiterate this, because it's something that's been revealed to us more and more recently. The purpose of Yeshua was not just to bring salvation for mankind. It's to take back complete dominion over every principality and power, including every fallen principality and power and ruler and kingship, to bring it into subjugation to the name of YHWH. These are fallen powers. These are bad influences. This is out of order. Yeshua came to restore the whole order of creation back to the Father.
Yeah. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, and all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which came in unto thee this night? Bring them out, that we may know them. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly.
Yeah, he actually uses the word no, please.
Right.
And he used it prior to that, please, like to the angels,
I
the
pray,
men.
we got I pray, but it's please. Yeah.
Please, yeah.
Yeah. Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. Now, we're hearing something here that's comes from the east, where we live. That a man's house, whoever comes to his house is to be protected to their own hurt. It's something about hospitality we don't really understand. It's interesting to see that as soon as Lot saw these angels, he wanted to make a feast for them, just like Abraham. So there was still righteousness and hospitality within Lot's heart. And here again shows the extent he's willing to go to protect the angels.
Yeah. There's 2 aspects of the Moshiach. There's above ground and below ground. You know, I mean, literally both Lot's daughters became the ancestor of Yeshua, because you've got Moab, the son of the eldest daughter.
Yeah.
She became the descendant that came forth was Ruth, and then from Ruth there was Obed, then Jesse, then David. Yeah. And then from the sister, the younger sister, there was Ammon, from my people. And then that gave birth eventually to Nahamah, who was Rehoboam's mother. Rehoboam, Solomon's son. And Rehoboam's mother was Nahamah, an Ammonite.
Wow,
from an Ammonite. Yeah, I do believe so. I mean, I'm saying that from memory, but they're definitely both of Moab and Ammon, Lot's daughters, became part of the ancestors of Moshiach. So Moshiach is called the root of Jesse, and is also called the branch. So the root is below ground in the lower worlds, and the branch reaches up into, well, even, you know, when you're talking about the tree of life, it goes very far, doesn't it? Provides shelter and everything like that. So you see, even the sort of debasedness of this root that came from Lot, there was something debased about it. The fact he desired to be around Sodom, the fact even after he'd been kidnapped, he wanted to go and return to this place. there's something a bit fallen about Lot in it. He couldn't dwell peaceably with Avraham.
Let's just take a picture of the land. The land was not big enough to support Abraham and Lot's cattle, and Abraham took Lot to a place and he said, choose which land you want. And Lot said, I'll go to Sodom and Gomorrah. Why did he go there? Because it was a fertile land. This was before Yahuwah had destroyed it with fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
And he wanted to go there. And what happens when somebody goes to a prosperous land? They get very rich. And if you look at the rich countries in the world, they probably are the most wicked. There's more wickedness. When there's an abundance of wealth, wickedness seems to grow faster than when there's less wealth. And so it's very much like today we're looking at. You know, we've grown prosperous and rich, and look at the wickedness we live amongst. It's very similar to this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is Lot chose to live in this abundance rather than contentment with Yahuwah. Yeah. Yeah. But the men put forth their and they said, verse 9, and they said, stand back, and they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge now. Will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they pressed sore upon the man Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men, that's the two angels, put their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut to the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they were wearied themselves to find the door.
Yeah. Originally they was described as young and old.
Yeah.
Now they're described as Katan Wa'ed Gadol. From the small to the great. Okay, so just to bear in mind, they've changed the nouns with which they've been described.
And the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring out of this place? For we would destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah has sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, up, get you out of this place, for Yahuwah will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his son-in-laws. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, arise, take thy wife and thy two daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. Now, it's funny that he would say that thou art consumed in the iniquity, because it's going to be a judgment from Yahuwah, isn't it? Just wonder about judgment. If you are consumed in it, do you become iniquitous yourself? Just a thought that passed my mind. And while he lightened, the men laid hold on him, verse 16, upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his daughters, and Yahuwah being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth, and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain, escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto him, oh, not so, my lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy which thou hast shown unto me, saving my life. I cannot escape to the mountains, lest some evil take me and I die. Behold, now this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one, and my soul shall live? And he said unto him,
can I just say,
yeah, I need something to say.
He just keeps repeating the word no, please. He says, and Lot said to them, no, please, master. Indeed, now your servant has found favour in your eyes, grace in your eyes, and magnified your chesed, your loving kindness, which you did with me to save, to live my life. But I am not able to flee to the mountain, lest I be overtaken by the destruction and I die. There is, please, this city is near enough to escape there, and it is small, and I shall flee, please, there. It is not so small, is it? And survive shall my soul. So it keeps repeating the word please. That means he's quite a polite person, is Lot, and respectful.
And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow the city for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything. He's under orders. I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar. And Yahuwah rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from Yahuwah out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plains and all the inhabitants of the city, and that which grew upon the ground.
Can I just say, this word, there's a great mystery in this. This is how Sodom and Gomorrah is overthrown. Now Yahweh had caused to rain, matir, had caused to rain upon Sodom and Gomorrah, sulphur, gofrit. That's related to the ark. It was made of gopher wood. Apparently that's what the sages say is connected to this word, which means sulphur. And fire from Yahweh out of heaven. Okay? And that word, matir, is connected in some way to the prince of this world, who in Jewish texts is called Metatron. Matir is the first three letters of Metatron. There's Memtet Resh, and Memtet Tet Resh is Metatron. So there is a connection between rain, and this connection is also to do with teaching. Corrupt influence.
That's it.
You see?
Well, I'm coming to the place.
Corrupt influence.
What I'm coming to the place is, do I want dew or do I want rain?
Yes.
Do I want the dew of heaven or the rain from heaven? It's just a consideration that's going through my ruach.
Yeah.
It looks like the dew brings resurrection life.
Resurrection from the dead.
Where rain can bring many doctrines, and not all doctrines are bad, by the way.
No.
Many doctrines. But the dew is something that used to happen in the garden.
Yes.
There was no rain in the garden.
No.
But there was dew in the rain, which watered the gardens.
Yeah.
So are we looking as these small atmospheric drops of life rather than rain? Just a contemplation of my heart.
Yeah, and also it wasn't until the rain came that there was ever a rainbow.
No.
So the rain splits the light into many different colours.
Yeah.
It causes separation. Whereas the dew doesn't cause the light. If you look at dew, it just spangles like jewels.
Yeah, sparkles.
Like jewels of white, diamonds.
Yeah.
So there is that to bear in mind. It's so a lot of teaching creates confusion. Who is this God that this is talking about? So many different aspects to it.
The great snake that's chasing the woman spews out floods of doctrine.
Yeah, a flood.
Doctrine, yeah.
Yeah.
So, doctrines can occupy us, and we yet to live because our mind is taken up with doctrines rather than being.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
What doctrines write this, or how do we apply Torah this way, or how do we apply our faith in this way? So many doctrines, but what we're really after is being.
We're after simplicity.
Yeah.
The simplicity of love.
Innocency too.
The simplicity of love. God is love. We're after this simplicity. But you know, through our sin, we complicate this up. It becomes complicated because then you need a remedy. This thing that got in the way of being just simple and loving.
Yeah.
You know, loving.
Satisfied.
Yeah. The difference between love and sin. Sin is all about self. Satisfying base lusts. Ultimately, some base, fallen lust or desire. Fallen love. Fallen self-love. Okay, it's contrary to the love of God.
Yeah.
It's about receiving for your fallen self. It's a bottomless pit. Whereas,
I want.
yeah,
I shall not want.
me. It's not about giving.
No.
Yahweh is about giving.
Praise you.
It's about just opening up our capacity to love, you know, in truth and purity. And just because we were made that way, the image of our Father is that we are made to love. But somehow this is fallen within man, and we've replaced it with this self-love, self-centered love. And we need to rectify that. And sometimes it's very difficult when you come to a religion or you come to a journey of faith and you come across your own weaknesses. It's sometimes difficult to get back to that very simple path, to get back to a place of love.
Hallelujah. Just go back to 24. And Yahuwah rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone of fire from the Yahuwah out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the city of that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt.
Isn't that true when you're continually looking backwards?
And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before Yahuwah, and he looked towards Sodom and Gomorrah, towards all the land of the plain, and beheld, lo, the smoke of the country went up as smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when Elohim destroyed the cities of the plain, that Elohim remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, and he went with his 2 daughters. When he ended up doing what the angels told him to do.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, what he offered to the angels, what he offered to the men of Sodom to try and pacify the unnatural urges, he ended up having an unnatural relationship with his daughter.
Well, and the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old. No man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth.
Because they believed that all the earth had suffered what they'd witnessed with Sodom and Gomorrah. So there was an innocency with Lot's daughters.
But they just flee from Zoar where it didn't happen. So it makes you question.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, you're right, darling. That's what the sages had said anyway.
And the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us to the manner of all the earth. It's funny, isn't it? Because it's not funny. We notice the unearthly sex of the men wanting to lay with angels is prominent at the beginning of this. And now we got this inappropriate sexual behaviour from the daughters of Lot, which dwelt in Gomorrah, which were dwelling in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
So, was sexual a big thing on their minds? Or procreation on their minds a big thing?
There's something fallen about it, isn't there?
These same girls were just offered to the men outside the door by Lot. I mean, I guess they knew that, as girls. I don't know what effect that would have on them, because they would have known the culture of the day anyhow.
Yeah.
But anyhow, let's go on.
Yeah, but can I just say, I just wanted to say that vision that I had the other night, because I was really being challenged by Satan in my mind. As I was just trying to get to sleep, and I just had all these really provoking thoughts. Who are you now? Kind of thing. And, trying to bring division between me and Paul in my mind. Like, okay, so you're under your husband now. Well, what's that then? It was really weird stuff. Trying to bring division in your mind, because it couldn't, when you're just about to go to sleep and you just haven't got your mental faculties. But anyway, I roused myself. I was like, I ain't putting up with these rubbishy thoughts. And I ended up having this very powerful vision. It was more than one vision. There was 4 visions in total, 4 very, very powerful visions. But one of them was that I was a tree, and it was a tree of life. Okay, like what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be a tree of life. It says, she is a tree of life for those who grasp hold of her. This is what's actually written. And it's talking about wise. We've got to be wise. We've got to provide wisdom to others, like a tree of life. Our leaves are healing and our fruit is healing and things like that. So anyway, this image of a tree came to me. This is why I mentioned the roots and the branches. The root goes downwards into the ground. Now, in my mind, I'm actually talking, this is actually the day that I was born again, the 8th of November 2001. So this is the day that I was born again 24 years ago. And this is a reverse of what happened, really. On the day that I was born again, I felt this joy come down from heaven. Just a river, like a waterfall pouring into my body. And I was trembling, shaking with the sheer power of this holy waterfall. And it was flowing into my head, the crown of my head, and drenching the entire of my being. And I couldn't believe just how much holiness and goodness that we could be completely drenched in our being with this power of joy. And to the point where my body was physically shaking with this joy, but the water was flowing and going out of my feet, like it was just an ever-flowing, refreshing, continual refreshing of joy. And I had this vision the other night, after Satan had provoked me, that it was in reverse this time. The flow was not coming from my head, from above, from my head to below. The flow was coming from below, through my feet and up through my head. But this time I was like a tree. And my roots had gone down into all the deep, dark, dingy places of reality. Like this situation that we're reading now, just the filth and the depravity. We've just been watching the Spider's Web, hadn't we, about the City of London. Just the filth of the way this world is governed by these powerful forces of evil. But in my mind, the roots was going down into all this filth and depravity and subterranean realities and powers of darkness and all the wealth and all the filth and everything like that. The roots was going as far down into the recesses of darkness and evil, and just totally unafraid, because I know who is the true king. This don't frighten me at all. I know our Father in heaven rules no matter what. They can't convince me otherwise. But my roots was cast down into all this filth and depravity, and it was drawing all the wealth out, all the power out, all the resources out from the dirt, like a tree does, all the nutrients. It was just drawing it from this place under the underground, down even into hell. And I ended up researching even all the texts that confirm, like Yeshua went down into hell, to release the prisoners down there and all kinds of things like that, to teach them. So my roots went down, but then what happened is all the nutrients was drawn up, and it became above ground a tree of life. So the healing of the leaves and the fruit and the safety, providing sanctuary, like it talks about the tree of life in the book of Revelation, or even the mustard seed. Those that have faith of a mustard seed can grow to like a mighty tree that even provides shelter for the animals and stuff like that. So this was the vision that was given. And this is why perhaps Moshiach is called the root and the branch. The tzemech, the shoresh and the tzemech. And, you know, we cannot escape the reality of this world, but we've got to establish the kingdom of God in it for the sake of his name, regardless of these forces that are very present and very real. Lot even exposed himself to these depraved forces. However, the Moshiach of YHWH was born from it. That is the root of his ancestry is Lot. The root of his ancestry through Moab is also Balak, the very king who went to Balaam to curse the children of Israel that turned into a blessing and ultimately ended up sexually seducing them also. So you've got to weigh this up. When it comes to establishing the kingdom on earth, there's a humility involved in that, where we are going to have to, like Yeshua, take back dominion of all these principalities, powers and rulers and transform that all into a tree of life that provides shelter for all humanity, to build up the kingdom on earth as it is in heaven, to restore this back to the Garden of Eden status, the tree of life. So everything's got to have a perspective, and that perspective is ultimately good. And all this that we witness will ultimately be a part of that kingdom to restore us back to that garden.
Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night, and firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said to the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in, and lie with him, that thou mayest preserve the seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived her not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called the name Moab, and the same is his father of the Moabites to this day. And the younger she bare a son, and called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon to this day. 20.
Do you want to leave it at that? And it goes actually on to the next Torah portion. It's quite a long one.
How many more chapters do you do? You do 21.
Well, it's quite a lot. I think we'll leave it there, and then we'll come back to it, because it's a good place to. It's a good place to stop. I think you'd have to go up to 2015. I think it is. Or...
Well, that's not far away, is it?
No, just wait a minute. It might be longer. Oh no, you've got to go to 21:5 to finish this section.
That's not too far.
Go on then, you read it, love.
And Abraham journeyed from thence towards the south country, and dwelled in Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned to Gerar. And Abraham said,
That's near Gaza, I believe.
Yeah. And Abraham said unto Sarah his wife, She is my sister. And Abimelech, the king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah.
So this is the second time he's been with Pharaoh. Now it's Abimelech.
But Elohim came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said unto him, Behold, thou art a dead man for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. Now let's think about that. It seems like he's a godless king, or a king that doesn't know him, and yet God comes to him and tells him, You're a dead man. This woman is a man's wife.
Yeah.
And it was to scare the king. Yeah?
It says Baalat Baal, the wife of a husband.
Yeah, I mean, Abel means husband. Can mean husband, yeah.
Baal.
And Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, Adon, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Said he not unto me, She is my sister? And she even herself said, He is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands have I done this.
Cleanness.
Praise Yah. And God said unto him, In a dream, yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart.
But Tom, in the innocence.
Yeah. For I also withheld thee from sinning against me, therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. Come on. Ain't that a great mercy of God, eh?
Yeah.
Ain't that a great loving Father towards his king? Ah. Now therefore restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet. Oh, hang on. So let's just step back and look at this. This king meets this man Abraham, and she has a gorgeous wife. She's my sister. Oh, and he's my brother. So he takes her in because he's a king, I guess.
Yeah.
Or even he's a king in his own eyes if nobody else is. And he takes her in. And here, Yahuwah steps in and stops him before the act. Oh.
Yeah.
This is a tremendous thing. And now, all right, these couple of liars are prophets.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine
Yeah.
us in our today's thinking? How come, like I'm trying to explain it in our today's thinking? This sounds... How can this liar be a prophet? Do you see what I'm saying? How can this deceiver be a prophet in the king's eyes? But the king listens to Yahuwah, which is admirable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's admirable.
The word though is gam anachi, even I. So there is, he's letting you know, Yahweh, that anachi is the Egyptian word for I am.
Yeah.
And this is, Yahweh wants to make himself understood even to like all the lowest of languages.
Common people.
All the common people. He wants to speak the language that is even the most lowest language in the world. So he's talking in this language. This is what goes back to that I say this time and time again. We've just read one chapter out of the book of Esther. This is this morning. Very significant for me. But anyway, there's two names that represent what's called Malkuth, the kingdom. There's two names of God. One is Anachi, I am, that is in the Egyptian tongue, and one is Ani, I am, in the Hebrew tongue. The kingdom is built up with two powerful qualities. One, humility, and one, exaltedness. Even our Father humbles himself. Like he says Anachi, he calls himself by an Egyptian name, I am, and speaks to us. Even the Ten Commandments open with Anachi. This is humility of Yahweh. But there's also Ani, I am, in Hebrew, the holy tongue, the most holy tongue, the tongue that created the entire of this creation. And we've got to, talking about the root and the branch, that's below the ground, that's above the ground. We have to be able to even speak to the lowest people. Like Yeshua went down into hell to teach the prisoners down there. The gospel, the good news, we've got to be able to descend. We've got to humble ourselves in a way in order to reach all people, to establish the kingdom, to take dominion over all the earth. But we've also got to raise ourselves up and remember the holiness and exaltedness of who we are. This is like Mordecai and Esther. Both these people were able to put on sackcloth and ashes and deprive themselves of food and water for 3 days and 3 nights. This is an horrific fast to do, a humbling fast to go without water. And they were in Babylon. This is a hot place. They did that. But straight away, Queen Esther was able to put on the royal garments and go and present herself before the king at the risk of her own life. So she knew she had to humble herself, but she also knew she had to use her exalted position in order to accomplish the will of our Father in heaven. And this is how we've got to transition. And the evidence of that, to build up the kingdom of Yahweh, because we're talking about building up the kingdom of Yahweh through Avraham, the seed of Avraham, we have to have these two qualities. We have to be able to say Anachi in order to speak even the lowest tongue to the lowest people in the lowest places. But we've always got to remember we are Ani. And we are made in the image of our Father. So he desires that we behave like him.
Amen.
Sometimes we've got to say Anachi, and sometimes we've got to say Ani. Sometimes we've got to put on the Lashon of Egypt, the tongue of Egypt, and sometimes we've got to put on the holy tongue in order to establish the kingdom of
Yahuwah.
the kingdom of Yahweh on earth as it is in heaven.
Yeah. Verse 6 again. And Elohim said unto him in a dream, Yea, I know that thou did this in the integrity of thine heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore I suffered thee not to touch her. Now therefore restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore not, know thou that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that thine. Therefore Amalek rose early in the morning, and called all his servants, and told all these things in their ears, and the men were sore afraid. Then Amalek called Abraham, and said unto him, What hast thou done unto us? And what have I offended thee, that thou hast brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? Thou hast done deeds unto me that thou ought not to be done.
Yeah, and the word he uses is chotate, which is usually a ritualistic sin, you know.
Well, you know, the Torah as such as we know it wasn't written yet.
No.
The instructions to Israel, the kingdom of Yahuwah, are not totally written
But
yet.
a chota'ah is a type of sin that requires a sin offering.
There
a
you
chota'ah.
go, yeah.
So
why I said that, people are conscious of what the Torah is going to bring, even before it happened. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And Amalek said unto Abraham, What sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? And Abraham said, Because I thought surely the fear of Elohim is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. He was
Without no fear of God, there's no wisdom either.
Hey, he was wrong. Abraham was wrong in that. So now, now, if you take a basic look at Abraham, he's a lying prophet that's willing to sin. If you know.
Yeah, it don't paint the best picture of him, does it?
No, but we always read with a sometimes a flowery mind without seeing how other people would see it, or how his king has seen it, you know. But anyway, he did fear God, didn't he? This king did fear God, and he feared even breaking a matrimony law, you know, to cause sin on his people. He actually knew this, and he had this integrity in him, but Abraham never saw it in him. So here's another thing. Prophets do not always see everything. You might be a prophet and you're not seeing everything because Abraham never saw this, yeah?
Yeah, I think there's two sides to that. I think there is two sides to that, because I think deep down Avimelech would have perhaps taken the wife of another man, and he perhaps did know that he was actually his wife. And Abraham was absolutely aware of this at one level, because you can have hidden evil and hidden righteousness. You know, talking about roots, you know, we can have things that are below the surface of our own consciousness at times, and these can be driving us. It can be a hidden. We can even hide from ourselves.
What I'm bringing
underlying. A lot of people have tried to hide from themselves. You know, like they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and then they hid from God. There is hidden aspects to us. So
absolutely, this is why I'm bringing this out. This is why I'm talking this way, particularly.
There's also hidden good, though, love.
Hidden
bad and hidden good.
This is the good. I'm going to explain it now.
Yeah.
Particularly, this is a personal experience of Abraham, just like he was talking to Yahuwah in the last chapter about diminishing the number of righteous to save the city.
Yeah, it's a proving. He's just been proved. He cut a covenant with him. How shall I know? How shall I know? Cut these animals in two, beat the birds off, fell into a trance, and Yahuwah passed it and said what covenant was. So this is another growing process in Abraham's life, which is recorded here. It's to show us that in our life we too will have struggles that are hard to understand, yet we prevail with God and man because Yahushua HaMashiach has redeemed us and made us the righteousness of Moshiach in him. This is a picture of what's happening to us as individuals growing in Yahuwah.
Yeah.
It's put here for our understanding if we look at it, not with like a sanctimonious religious eye, but with a natural eye that Yahuwah is real and true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying there?
Can I just go back to this roots and branches? Because it just seems to me to be very prevalent. You know, Abimelech the root, Avraham the branches, or whatever. Lot the root, Avraham the branches. There were times in my life, and I've told you this before because we talked about compensation lately. I believe, according to Torah, we have been placed in an unsuccessful situation. It's as if our Father in heaven, I can talk about my own self, but I see this as a repeated phenomena on many people's journey of faith. Sometimes we are just put in a situation where no matter how hard we tried, and we tried, we failed. We just, the end of our effort, our blood, sweat and tear was failure. We had to walk away and just to say, okay, admit defeat. We failed. We give it our best. We give it more than our best. We give it everything that we had, yet we failed. Okay? And this was a lot of my journey of faith. And I honestly believed, and I know now looking back, I was not in the realm of the name of Yahweh. I was outside of the ideal place to be. I was fallen from under the jurisdiction of the holy name, because only in the holy name is a success. It says, unless Yahweh build, the builders build in vain. But I was outside that and I didn't even know it. So I was in the realm of the prince of the world, or call it what you want, in the realm of Satan, and it did not matter what I did. I failed. I just failed. I never gave up. I never despaired. I ultimately always picked myself up and kept going. But there was this endless wake of failure, disappointment and destruction and vanity and emptiness and lack. And it just went on. And this is what I believe we need to be compensated for. Because you see, there was a lot of work going on. It's like the work of Egypt. The story of in Egypt, where they were just made to, even the success of the work that they did, they were just burdened more and more and more, so you couldn't keep up with the demands of Pharaoh to the ultimate point where they're getting whipped and beaten and whatever else. But there's also stories in the Midrash that says they built all these wonderful cities and they made them build them on like sand. So they'd actually do all this work and then they'd just sink into the sand. So they didn't even have the joy of looking upon the work of their own hands with any measure of satisfaction. It was just all hard work and no reward, just bitterness and tears and just horrible situation. But once you come into the realm of the name, the holy name of Yahweh, there's nothing but success. It's just a transition from everything failing, everything disappointing, everything being defeat, everything being, just wearying, weakening, diminishing, to everything thriving, to everything prospering, to everything growing, just as it should be. This is where our Father in heaven wants us to be. That's why the Moshiach is called the branch, the Tzemach. It means ever growing, ever flourishing.
Fair.
We have to get there. We have to be at that place where we break free from the ground, the roots firmly established. Yeah, we did our time in Egypt. We did our time under the taskmaster. We did our time under this prince of this world. We didn't even know who or what we were thoroughly serving, but we cried out, because you see that failure gets to you in the end and you realise you're never going to succeed. and you know you need deliverance from it. That's exactly the situation I was brought to. I honestly likened myself to the Black Beauty horse. It was just whipped and whipped and whipped and whipped and tried its hardest to get with a heavy load up that hill for its master, but couldn't, and collapsed under the weight and getting whipped by the taskmaster until the Saviour stepped in and took the horse from that taskmaster, raised it up to be, the horse it should have always been, loved and cared for and beautified. Sometimes we just need to get out. We need to recognise this ain't God who we're serving. We've been fooled because there's no success, there's no flourishing, there's no fruitfulness, there's no pleasantness, there's no expansiveness, there's no breathing easy. You got to know the difference between being above the ground, under the dominion of the name of Yahweh, and struggling and striving with an evil taskmaster. And sometimes we're so fooled into believing, just as the Pharaohs was considered living gods, that level of servitude is serving Yahweh. It is not. And you don't get above the ground until you recognise this ain't where it's all happening. And this is not where I belong. And you need to break free from that. You need to break free from that. So that's just something that I was inspired to share, because we have got these two perspectives, the Abimelechs and the Avrahams. We have got to contend with our weaknesses. We have got to see we've got to contend with the fact that failure and disappointment, defeat and disease and death, we've got to contend with these, but that isn't the whole story. That isn't the whole story. And we also have to be redeemed from that cycle of spiritual poverty and deprivation. We've got to get above ground. We've got to establish ourselves in the righteousness of YHWH.
Brought on me my kingdom a great sin. Thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not to be done. Verse 10. And Amalek said unto Abraham, What sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? And Abraham said, Because I thought, surely the fear of Yahuwah is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. And yet indeed is my sister, she is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And it came to pass, when Yahuwah caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, This is thy kindness which thou shalt show unto me at every place whither we come. Say of me, he is my brother. And Amalek, look at the turn in Amalek here, it's beautiful. And Amalek took sheep and oxen, men servants and women servants, and gave them unto Abraham, and restored him Sarah his wife. And Amalek said, Behold, my land is before thee, dwell where it pleaseth thee. And unto Sarah he said, Behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes unto all that are with thee, and with all others. Thus she was reproved.
Or vindicated.
Yeah, vindicated.
Yeah.
That's a better word.
We talked about this recently, didn't we? About sometimes you've got to go into the palace of the other side. And from that experience, even though we go through some what you would consider failures or under the taskmaster of another power, you're not fully under the name of Yahweh, there is reward out of that. Just as when they came out of Egypt, they plundered Egypt. Just as this experience, you sometimes go into the place of the roots, for example, but you can come out of that place with great wealth. The first time when Pharaoh came out, he had lots and lots of things bestowed upon him on account of Sarah, didn't he? Camels and whatnot. And this time he's gone in and he's got 1,000 pieces of silver, and let it be a key suit a naim, a covering of the eyes.
I see the faith of Amalek is great here. It's Abimelech, rather.
Abimelech.
I see the faith of Abimelech here is great. Look at his response. Look at his response. And Amalek said, "Behold, my land is before thee, dwell thee, it pleases thee." And, and to Sarah he said, "Behold, I've given thy brother thousands of silver. Behold, he is thee a covering of thy eyes unto all that are with thee, and with all others." Thus he was proved.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Abraham prayed unto Elohim, and Elohim healed Abimelech and his wife and his maidservants, and they bore children.
That's wonderful.
Hey, isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Can I just say something though? Because we've got to make the contrast between Abimelech and Avraham. Avraham was very unique. This is a lot like going back to that love that we talked about in the beginning. There's self-love. Why did Abimelech want Sarah? Because she was so beautiful. Some people want to just satisfy themselves with beautiful women, like the fallen angels even. Avraham wasn't. His motivations to having children was to be able to raise up sons through which he could teach them the will of Yahweh.
Amen.
Okay, so there's a difference between satisfying yourself because you've got a beautiful woman and desiring a holy family.
Hey, Abraham had both.
Yeah, he did. He did love her. But Abimelech's motivation to being with Sarah was because of her beauty, as is Pharaoh. This is why Abraham had to say what he had to say. So it goes back to this love, doesn't it? It goes back to fallen love, the contrast between fallen love, which is a very big topic in this thing. We've got Lot and we've got Sodom and Gomorrah and all this, so a lot of fallen love, lust, the dark side of love, the subterranean, evil, self-satisfying. Why do men have sex with men? It's only for sexual, selfish satisfaction, because usually it's, there's...
It's either to be dominated or to dominate.
Yeah, it's usually over by children, though. And it's usually paedophilia involved with this as well, a lot of it, pedastria, whatever they call it. And this has been a very big thing in a lot of cultures, subterraneously. It's hidden away, isn't it?
I should say so.
Yeah. But what I mean is there's fallen love and true love.
Yeah.
And we've got to make the difference between them. But
especially in a marriage. Especially in a marriage. Work at it. Get it holy.
But you see, we are subject to the forces of self-centered. Like we have all got a fallen aspect of Adam as well as a resurrection power of Adam if we have accepted the truth regarding Yeshua. There is that battle between battle and soul, and until you break free of the dominion of our fallen self and enter into the victory of the resurrected Moshiach in our life to govern us, as opposed to our fallen nature, which parallels Asaph, by the way. Abimelech was going to die. That's why he gave Sarah back up. He gave Sarah back up because he was going to die. What did Esau say to Yaakov? "Oh, just throw that down my neck because I'm going to die. I give you the birthright because I'm going to die." Right? He knew that if he was given the birthright, he knew his motivations. He was actually prophesying, what good is this birthright to me when I just think about loving myself? I'm out in the field killing animals and stuff like that. He represented the selfish, evil aspect of our own nature, fallen lust, fallen love. Whereas Yaakov represents our soul, our good inclination, our power to serve Yahweh and nothing else beside him. But there is a battle to get from the root to the branch. There's a battle to get from defeat the lower nature of our personality, which comes under the dominion of the prince of this world, i.e. Satan, to give Satan a foothold, to circumcise and humble ourselves enough to reach above ground, to enter into the domain of the power of his holy name, when the good in us takes back dominion and authority over that negative aspect of our fallen Adam, with the power of the risen Adam. That is the name of Yahweh, in whose image we are made. So there's a lot of that going on here in a very hidden way.
Well, there's a time which we're not told what time this is, but the next verse might give us a clue over a period of time that this took place. And Yahuwah had fast closed up the womb of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So what kind of time period are we talking about Abraham's prayer to the difference of Amalek blessing him? It seems, it had to be a year for the wife to bear and the healing to come. And also Abraham needed this healing already, himself. I can't think. Yitzhak is yet to be born. The promise has been made, but this is in the time where Abraham still hadn't had Isaac. Yeah? Yet, the miracle has happened to somebody else.
Yeah.
So he's prayed for somebody else to have children that couldn't have them, and they had them, and he still hasn't had his promised son himself yet. This is right in the middle of this. The promise to Sarah, you're going to have a bit. How shall I have pleasure with my husband at this age? And she laughed, and so it's right in the middle of this. This really is showing time, Abraham growing in faith, like we have to grow in our faith, like Stephanie said about failures on the road of faith. This is the same picture we're having to live through for ourselves. We are the seed of Abraham, and we have to be proved. We want to prove Yahuwah. He wants to prove us. Once we are born again, once we have received everything the Moshiach's given us, we have to prove our faith unto him by being loyal in faith. Loyal in faith, to build faith. What is faith? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hallelujah. Praise. I just enjoyed that. That was great.
Go up to 5 though, because this is very interesting.
And Yahuwah visited Sarah, and he said, and Yahuwah did unto Sarah as he'd spoken for Sarah.
Can I just say that word, visit? Because we go on about
Pekude,
this.
isn't it?
Pekude.
Visitation.
Pokard. We've got to have those visitations of God.
Well, I'm glad it says this, because this has just said what I just said.
Yeah,
this
carry
was
on
a period of time. And I never knew it came like this. And Yahuwah visited Sarah, and he said, and Yahuwah did unto Sarah as he had spoken, and Sarah conceived and bare Abraham. I didn't know that followed Abraham's prayer for Abimelech to have children, and he had them. And it's like Job, that when Job started praying for other, he was healed. It's the same spirit of faith.
Yes.
Giving out in your need. When you need something, you give it away. And and Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, and the set time of which Yahuwah had spoken to him. A set time.
Moed.
Praise, yeah.
And when was he born?
So it was only 9 months later before. So all this which happened in Amalek was actually 9 months. We were on about a space of time. It was 9 months. So really, this journey down south and meeting them must have been quite quick for Abimelech to have this child because of Abraham and Sarah's wife, and then to be visited here. It may be, if you looked at it, push it down to everything, maybe in less than 9 months she had a child, but there you go. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as Yahuwah had commanded him.
That's
and
it,
Oh, is it? I got to go on. Oh, yeah.
That's it, up to 5.
Yeah,
I think
well.
we'll leave it at that because it's quite detailed.
Well, that was worth reading, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
Make sure we transition from fallen love to true love, holy love,
Amen.
and bear the seed of Moshiach within all our lives.
Praise you.
Amen.
Shalom.
Shalom.